Call the meeting to order. Akron City Council. Clerk will read the roll.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Holland. Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik. Aye. Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Here.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville. All members are present except for Holland, Kamer, and Somerville.
Thank you. The prayer will be led tonight by Jeffrey Lindholm, pastoral intern at St. Vincent de Paul.
Good evening.
Take a quiet moment. Everything that we bring with us this evening, our joys, our hopes, our fears, our grievings, our sufferings, our pain. Take a quiet moment and bring it before a God who is love. Nothing is more practical than finding God, than falling in love in a quite final and absolute way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, whom you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love. Stay in love, and it will decide everything. My dear friends, as we gather here this evening, might we fall in love, stay in love, and allow that power to impel us forward as we discern together as a community how you, love itself, are leading us forward. Amen.
I'll now ask that we be led in the Pledge of Allegiance by Shamus Malik.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from the previous meeting were provided to council. Any corrections or additions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Stay.
Amobian.
Aye.
The minutes pass 9-0 with one abstention.
Thank you. You have before you the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So move.
Motion to approve. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Roll call.
Baylor.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
The consent agenda passes 10-0.
Thank you. We have two items there for a public hearing this evening. The clerk will please read in item number 1.
Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, May 15th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to vary the side yard area requirement to construct a garage at 70 East Dresden Avenue.
Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President, members of council. David McCurry is requesting permission to vary the setback for a new detached garage in the side yard of the property. The current garage, constructed in the early 1900s, is aging. The petitioner is proposing to construct a new 20-foot by 24-foot garage in its place. Due to the difficult geography of their property, the petitioner's request was that the 5-foot setback for an accessory structure be varied by 2 feet so that the garage will be only 3 feet from the east or side property line. The proposed Garage would not be out of character for the neighborhood, nor should it have a negative impact on neighboring properties. The variance of 2 feet from the property line will allow the petitioner to maximize the property and retain rear yard open space. The new garage will help enhance the viability of the property and surrounding neighborhood. If the petitioner can meet building code requirements, Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. Is there anyone here wishing to speak in reference to item number 1 on the agenda? Madam Clerk?
Could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do." I declare. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up the public hearing. Please provide for us your name and address.
Good evening, everyone. Apostolette here this evening, and I support this item. I support things that enhance the community, and I ask that this same privilege and opportunity will be given to all of the communities in Akron. And I would ask that you would have things in place for the people who need this to be done, so that they will have resources to not be in violation with the city of Akron and go to jail or citations or have any difficulties in the future, and make these opportunities available for all of the communities around Akron. And I definitely support improvement on building the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in reference to the proposal on Dresden Avenue? Anyone else? Very good. We'll close the public hearing portion. What are the wishes of the committee? Ms. Connor?
The committee has a favorable report, is asking for a favorable report, and we'd like to poll the committee for that.
Very good.
Kamer? Fusco?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Baylor? Aye. Connor? Yes. So the committee's report is favorable, and we ask for suspension of the rules and passage.
Thank you. Roll call.
Baylor?
Aye.
Connor? Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik? Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0.
Thank you. Item number 2.
Notice is hereby given that the following open comment public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, May 15th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance amending or supplementing Title 15, Chapter 153 Zoning Code, Article 8 On-Premises Exterior Signs, and Article 11 Board of Zoning Appeals regarding ground signs in residential areas.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, members of council. The city is proposing to make minor updates to the requirements regarding ground signs in residential districts. These changes are being proposed in support of achieving several of the Office of Integrated Development's core goals, providing clear requirements, enabling predictable outcomes, and streamlining review processes for residents, businesses, and institutions. The proposed changes would allow community institutions such as schools, parks, churches, and neighborhood community centers located in residential districts to install modestly sized ground signs in their front yards. Under the current zoning code, ground signs for non-dwelling uses in residential districts are only allowed behind the building line. Locating a ground sign behind a building line can often be impractical for a church, school, or park, as it does not allow for enough visibility of the sign. As a result, these institutions often request a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals to locate the sign within the front yard. The proposed text changes align the requirements for community institutions with the requirements that apply to establishments in business districts. Ground signs will still be restricted in height and located a minimum distance from the right-of-way so as not to obstruct the necessary view of traffic at the street. In addition, the proposed text change slightly increases the allowable area for a non-dwelling sign in a residential district. The proposed change increases the allowable sign size from 30 square feet to 32 square feet. 32 square feet is a typical 4 by 8 foot size of many signage panel materials used by sign fabricators. so this change will be in alignment with typical industry practices. Internally illuminated signs in electronic message centers in a residential district will still be required to be reviewed by the Board of Zoning Appeals. The City of Akron planning staff believes that the proposed modest changes will not have a negative impact on the character of residential neighborhoods. The Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Antonucci. Will anyone here wishing to speak in reference to this, please be sworn in by our clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I declare.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll open up the public hearing.
I come as an interested party, as I would do if I were down in the House of Representatives speaking this evening. The last end of what you stated is my most important concern regarding the signage. We're in a very difficult time, politically, religiously, just a very difficult time. And I would like that any legislation drafted, implemented, enforced, brought to the attention of the people would have special emphasis that it did not promote violence, racism, and destruction to our community. I'll wait till you finish talking. And destruction to our communities. I would ask that any signage would be something that would not only be promising and hopeful and positive, but it would also encourage literacy, financial and otherwise. You cannot mandate that, but it should lead something to something positive. And I ask that this council and the city, the executive, legislative, and the judicial body monitor this. We don't need any more violence, and we don't need any more racism. So I'm asking that in your decision to pass this legislation, the very end of what you said is the most important piece. The size of the racism is not as important as the fact of the racism. The size of the violence, signs promoting violence, is not as important as the violence that could be implemented. We want peace in these times, and we want people to work together. I'm Apostolette, and that's my stance on this legislation.
Thank you, Apostolette. Could you please provide for us your address? I forgot to ask earlier.
I don't provide my address because I'm in the Safe at Home initiative under the Secretary of State. I have a protection order from someone who violated me.
Okay, thank you.
And I can provide that for you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Anyone else wishing to make comment, reference item number 2, public hearing? Very good. Hearing none, we'll now close the public hearing. Ms. Connor? I believe you're
Councilwoman Connor,
muted.
you're muted.
I'd like to poll the committee for a favorable report and suspension of the rules. Councilwoman Mosley?
Aye.
Councilwoman Baylor? Aye. Councilman Fusco?
Aye.
Councilman Kamer? And myself, Councilwoman Connor, aye. So the committee's recommendation is suspension of the rules and a favorable report.
Very good. Roll call.
Baylor?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal? Amobian?
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0.
Thank you. Item number 3, Ms. Connor?
We'd like to take time on items number 3 through 8 and revisit item number 9. I'm
I believe
asking, go ahead.
on item number 3, we requested the consent agenda.
Yes, please, I'm sorry.
Very good.
Item
I'd
number,
like to request that, the committee's request is to go to the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Mosley, Councilwoman Mosley,
Aye.
Councilwoman Baylor. Aye. Councilman Fusco,
Aye.
Councilman Kamer, Councilwoman Connor, aye.
Very good. Item number 4.
On 4 through 8, we would like to take time on. And number 9, we'd like to poll the committee for an adverse report. Councilman Fusco?
Aye. Aye.
Item number 9 was an ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a dumpster business at 1029 Waterloo Road and declaring an emergency.
Yes, during committee, the report from the committee was adverse, so no need to re-poll. We could go into a roll call on that adverse report.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. Any questions or comments reference item number 9? Very good. Roll call. Description, Ms. Connor?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Did you have a description on this one, on item number 9?
Well, we've heard from some of the neighbors and the councilmen, so that strengthens our adverse report. I need to hold the committee for an adverse report,
No, it's okay. That was the report of the committee.
so that's all.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Roll call?
Okay. Just to make sure everyone's clear on this, the committee's report was adverse, so the roll call here is on the adverse report. Baylor?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
The motion for an adverse report passes 10-0, so this ordinance will be filed.
And time on the rest of the agenda, please.
Thank you, Ms. Connor. We'll now go to Budget and Finance. Mr. Freeman?
Yes, thank you. We've read this in, I believe, a minimum of 3 times today, and the committee has asked for passage.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Very good. Roll call? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Sarah, can you read that in?
Yes, this is item number 1 in Budget and Finance. Resolution urging the city administration to collaborate with Akron City Council regarding future revision to existing Section 56 of the 2023 Budget Ordinance regarding professional service contracts and declaring an emergency.
Further questions or comments? Very good. Roll call?
Baylor? Aye. Connor? Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
This resolution passes 10-0.
Thank you. At this time, we'll go on to new legislation. Budget and Finance.
Item number 1, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with AT&T for the provision of telephone services for the city's VoIP phone system and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman.
Consent, please.
Item number 2, offered by Freeman, ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance or his designee after the Ohio Auditor of State's office facilitated requests for proposals to enter into a contract or contracts with Ray & Associates Incorporated for audit engagement services for the City of Akron and the JEDS, pursuant to Sections 117.11 and 115 of the Ohio Revised Code for fiscal periods January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman?
Consent.
Item number 3, offered by Freeman, Mosley, Amobian, Neal, and Baylor. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts for the City of Akron to provide $250,000 over a 2-year period to support the Sojourner Truth Plaza project in downtown Akron and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes, the committee would like to place this item on the consent agenda.
Item number 4, offered by Freeman, Amobian, Neal, and Baylor. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts with the Summit County Historical Society for the City of Akron to provide $100,000 in financial assistance for improvements to the John Brown House campus and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman?
Committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Very good, Mr. Freeman.
We read the ordinance, simply will be providing $100,000 for improvements to be done to the John Brown House, and with that, we ask for its passage.
Good. Questions or comments? Yes, Ms. Mosley?
Thank you, Chairman Fusco. I'd like to make a motion for council as a whole.
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I was going to say, I didn't hear a second.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, very
thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Baylor? Aye. Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0 as council as a whole. Item number 5, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Finance or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Power Engineers Incorporated for the design and implementation of a new special assessments application using the city's existing GIS platform and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman?
Committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Very good. Seeing no objections, the rules are suspended.
No further comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Very good. Roll call.
Baylor? Aye. Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0.
Very good. Thank you. Planning.
Item number 6, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee, without the formality of publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts with Summit Medina Business Alliance Incorporated for consulting services to support economic development in the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Ms. Connor?
We'd like to place it on the consent agenda, please.
Very good. Public utilities and green.
Item number 7, offered by Freeman. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to file an application for and, if awarded, accept and expend grant funding from the U.S. Department of Transportation Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grant Opportunity and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Freeman?
Committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objections, rules are suspended.
Yes, this ordinance would allow us to apply for a federal grant, and the topic that this is around is charging stations and an infrastructure plan for the city of Akron as pertains to electric vehicles. And we're applying for $7 million. With that, we ask for its passage.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Very good. Seeing none. Roll call.
Baylor?
Aye.
Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0.
Parks and Recreation.
Item number 8, offered by Lombardo, ordinance authorizing the deputy mayor for integrated development or his designee to enter into a contract or contracts without the formality of publicly advertising for bids with Tuesday Musical Association for the management, financing, and/or provision of professional arts and entertainment services for the city of Akron in connection with the Heinz Pole Summer Dance Festival, authorizing and/or ratifying any related agreements associated with Tuesday Musical Association services to the city and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lombardo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The committee's report is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objections, rules are suspended.
Thank you. Yes, today we heard from Jane Startzman. But anyhow, this is the annual sponsorship where the Tuesday Musical Association puts on some dance programs with programs at Forest Lodge, Firestone, and Goodyear Metro Park. So it's a community event, and with that, we're asking for its passage.
Very good, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, very good. Roll call?
Baylor? Aye. Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amopian.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0. Item number 9, offered by Lombardo. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the purchase of services for the rehabilitation of Boss Park in keeping with the Akron Parks Challenge and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lombardo?
Thank you. The committee would like to place this on the consent agenda.
Very good.
Item number 10, offered by Lombardo. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the purchase of services for the rehabilitation of Higher Lions Park in keeping with the Akron Parks Challenge and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lombardo?
Consent.
Item number 11, offered by Lombardo. Ordinance authorizing the mayor, without the formality of publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts with Akron Parks Collaborative for professional and supplemental services related to the improvements of certain parks in the city of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lombardo?
Consent.
Mr. Lombardo, during committee today, I believe the committee voted to suspend the rules on this one.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you. The committee's report was favorable on item number 11, and we are asking for suspension of the rules.
Very good. Seeing no objections, rules are suspended. Thank you.
Yes. So, yeah, today we heard from Bridget Ambrusco and the Akron Parks Collaborative doing so many good things with our parks, including working with Kaboom and, support our Akron Parks Week and a lot of other items that they do for our parks. So with that, we're asking for its passage.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Okay, very good. Roll call?
Baylor? Aye. Connor? Connor?
Aye.
Freeman?
Aye.
Fusco?
Aye.
Lombardo? McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amopian.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 10-0. Item number 12, offered by Lombardo and Mosley. Ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into contracts after publicly advertising for bids for the purchase of services for the rehabilitation of Morgan Park in keeping with the Akron Parks Challenge and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Lombardo?
The committee would like to put this on the consent agenda.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, we'll now go into the portion of the meeting we refer to as our public comment period. When you hear your name, please approach the podium. Please state your full name and give us your address. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. Speakers are reminded that this is an official meeting. Remarks should be kept germane to council business. Anyone who breaches decorum will be ruled out of order and may be removed from council chambers. Before we begin, you will be sworn in by our clerk of council, Sarah Biviano.
If you're here for the public comment period, could you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I declare
Thank you.
Thank you. Apostolate?
Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm Apostolate, and I'm a presidential candidate for the United States of America for the 2024 election, and I've lived to see many, many things, and that's one of the reasons I was saying to you all, it's time for peace. It's time for peaceful negotiations here in America and with other nations, and people should feel safe to be in our country and in our cities. I've lived to see a lot of violence, but I've seen a lot of victories also. And the Bible says, "Come, behold the works of the Lord." I'm going to say "and lady," because nothing takes place without a woman. "What desolations have been made in the earth." God does desolations. It's nothing that we can do or can control. But now it's time for building and restoring and healing. And I do a lot. I have a community initiative where I go around and I meet the needs to see what the needs are for the people. This is one of my initiatives. The comments and concerns for the people, and the commitments. When we know what people are committed to, then we'll know what their comments, their questions, their needs, and their concerns are. And I would love to work with this legislative body as well as other legislative bodies, as I stated to you, Mayor Malik, that I would love to have a meeting with all mayors across the nation and all governors, because the states, we have a title called United, but we're not. We're very divided. And I would like to see more and better. I am the ninth cousin to General George Washington, the first president of the United States of America. I'm also related to Charles Cotesworth Pinckney, who signed the United States Constitution. The list continues. And I've lived to see much. Men have run the country all of my life, and they've been running the country, and now it's time for me to get in here and do what needs to be done. And I want to work with people, not beat up people, but work with people. And I would like to just see what we can do together. My candidate ID number is P406363, and I'm on the Federal Election Commission website, and let's work together. My phone number is 330-428-9191. And I wanted, as I take my seat, I wanted to thank all of you for receiving me, welcoming me, although you don't understand me many times, but I do genuinely love you all, and I pray that we have a better relationship in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Respectfully ask that we check our phones. Thank you very much. Next, Reverend John Beatty.
Mr. Council President Pro Tem, or substitute, and members of the council, I wish to continue this letter to Antonio Guterres' great-great-granddaughter. Today, our world, and I would like to say our city, stands at a crossroads with two paths before us that will have a direct impact on your future. The first leads to a future of relentless temperature rise, deadly droughts and famines, melting glaciers and rising seas, communities ravaged and erased by floods and wildfires, extinction and biodiversity loss on an epic scale, in short, a trail of destruction. The second path leads to the legacy you deserve: breathable air, better health, sustainable food systems, clean water, and robust circular economies, a future powered by renewable energy and high-quality green jobs. I am determined that humanity follows this second path. We have the information we need. We have the tools and technology. What we need is the political will to forge a peace pact with nature and transform how we grow food, use land, fuel transport, and power economies. Wealthy countries must help less wealthy ones cut carbon emissions and make huge investments in renewable energy and the protection of vulnerable communities. Of course, even if we take all these actions, our climate will still change in dramatic fashion by the time you are born. But we can limit the damage and provide every country and community with ways to adapt and become more resilient. A future with only 1.5 degrees centigrade, 2.7 degree Fahrenheit of global warming may not deliver us to climate heaven, but it will save us from climate hell. So which path did my generation take? My dear great-great-granddaughter, by the time you open this letter, you will have your answer. You will know whether we succeeded or failed in our fight for your future. You are decades from birth, but I already hear you. The central question from you and all humanity both haunts and motivates me. What did you do to save our planet and our future when you had the chance? I will not relent in making sure my generation answers that essential call. I will stand for climate action, climate justice, and the better, more peaceful, and sustainable world you and all generations deserve. Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the UN. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Joshua Schaefer?
Joshua Schaefer, 1408 Home Avenue, Akron. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members of council, mayor-elect. I have come today to talk about our budget priorities for ARPA. Yesterday was Mother's Day, and so here's a fitting story. My mother used to talk to me about financial education. She said there's the things that we need, and then there's the things that we want. First we spend money on what we need, and then we take the budget that's left over for what we want. And so I ask you, do we need a water park? Do we need to spend millions of dollars on Lock 3 in downtown? I was at the meeting at Robinson's CLC, and I learned that we budgeted not one penny of ARPA money for mental health, not one penny for addiction, and only $250,000 to remove the lead pipes from our neighborhoods. Meanwhile, 5% of water customers are still drinking water out of the lead pipes. By the way, that's the same amount of pipes that have lead in Flint, Michigan, and we know what happened there and in other cities. We know that the lead in the pipes can corrode and poison our children. The EPA says even small amounts of lead accumulate over your lifetime. Even when not completely corroding, these pipes are still contributing lead to our water supply. The EPA says that Akron's water is below the lead rules, but also states that no lead is safe and that the goal should be for lead-free water. Let me repeat that. No lead in the water is safe. My baby was born with a blood lead level 25% of what's considered dangerous. And my wife also has high blood lead. And to add insult to injury, my wife's milk excretes lead back into the baby. A council person here told me that we're going to get half of the lead pipes replaced, but that's unacceptable. The most disturbing part of this is that we have the money to fix the pipes, and yet we won't. We're worried about developing a park downtown. We're worried about building water slides and splash pads. But we must invest in our neighborhoods, create jobs, and save our children from the lead that's accumulating in their bodies. We must change our priorities. We call everything around here an emergency to build a garage, an emergency to change this ordinance, to change that ordinance. What about the public health emergency of the lead pipes that our children and our families are drinking out of? We must change our priorities, and I won't shut up and I won't leave until the lead is dead.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Daniel Maroney.
Councilman, Mayor-elect. Well, I'm here for Metro, and I don't think people realize that it's going to make it hard for a lot of people because they're ripping out all the signs that are not on the main street. And what about the people that have disabilities or are they in a wheelchair? What are they going to go down in the snow to the main where they have the signs? That's not good. What about the thousands of people that take the bus to work who live on side streets? Where are they going to go? What are they going to do? We have, I don't know, Metro has said 10,000 people go to their job through them. Well, now it's going to be cut in half. Is the council going to allot money for 5,000 people who can't get to work? They're going to pay for the unemployment? I don't know. It's up to you to think about this. All you councilmen who know, who live in an area where your people are underprivileged, and they're the ones that are going to be affected the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maroney. Vicky Shockey?
Sorry, I am assuming that that was Acacia.
I'm sorry?
Vicky Shockey?
Vicky Shockey?
Good evening, folks. I am Vicki, and my regards go to the Metro passengers that this is their livelihood of depending on this bus service for people that go to the doctors, go grocery shopping, go to work, go to school. This is going to affect a lot of people and hurt people with disabilities. It's going to be longer waiting for buses to come. Winter's going to be here, and you have people out here with disabilities like Daniel, like this lady, like me. We can't walk long distances in ice and snow and the cold and being outside, waiting on these buses to change. We need help. All of us passengers are asking for help, asking for support, and I'm asking all of you, please, take this into consideration, how this is going to affect people. People are already not wanting to work. People are willing to work, and they're not going to be able to because of this bus service. I am a daily rider. I depend on these buses. I've been a supporter of Metro since 1974. This is hurting all of us. Please, take a good look at this and help all of us and support us in what we're trying to do. I went to Metro Saturday, not causing any problems, no hassles, no troubles. I drew up a petition asking the Metro system to please care for us needy people. I got told in a nice way that I had to have permission from the Metro Transit Center to ask for a petition of signatures. And people have been so willing to come to me and say, I appreciate you wanting to help all of us. Please help us. I ask you kindly, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Acacia? Reynolds?
I am hard of hearing, hence the issues. So I have many, many things on my mind as I come before you in the council. One of the things that I noticed was the time spent on fixing Manchester Road. It created some havoc for us for many months, but the flyover by Kenmore Boulevard was missed, which was the worst section of Manchester Road. Many of the citizens around me are like, why did we fix the road where it was fair to Mindlin, but we missed the most destroyed section, I will use that term, of the road. It looked to me like mismanagement of time. Why don't we start with the really bad section and then fix the stuff that's okay? There's another section on Home Avenue going towards all the Cayuga Falls district that is ridiculous. When my grandfather was alive, I took him to eat out there, and he was complaining so much about that road when I took him to go to eat because he was old and it hurt. There are many, many other streets that are still brick. There's a section on Rand Avenue that I and my husband keep trying to avoid because I keep telling him it's like they buried a dead body in the road. It's a tire killer. Similarly, the brick road on Blanche. There are so many places that I have to avoid because it could damage the car. I feel bad because there are many, many, many important things to bring in front of you. I feel bad that this is a trivial thing, but it does affect our livelihoods and our vehicles. So I just want to thank you for listening to me. And please look into the roads in Akron. Thank you.
Thank you. William J. Reynolds, Sr.
So I'm going to play it safe tonight and agree with my wife. There are areas in Akron that the streets literally hurt the citizens. So maybe it would take prioritizing the worst of the worst and not just attacking whole streets. Attack the worst of the worst, fix it right, bing, bang, boom. Now, I heard another very passionate thing tonight from Josh. I'm also a father, and I share the concerns for our children. Yesterday, we celebrated an important day for all of us because we all have mothers, Mother Day. I want to read a couple things. Mom, your love is a mystery. How can you do it all? You're always there with a perfect fix for my problems, big and small. Your love protects me day after day, so I'm fearless, safe, and sound. I feel that I can do anything whenever you're around. Mom, your love is a mystery. I haven't got a clue why you love me all the time, but I'm glad you do. Second one, she had strength beyond strength and faith beyond faith. She had nothing yet would give you everything. She had courage and strength and determination and grit. She was brave and beautiful. Now there is no pain, now there is no fear. Now there is only comfort, peace, forgiveness, and joy. She is free, she is happy again, and home where she belongs. She lives on, she is in us. Mom, you're a wonderful mother, so gentle yet so strong. The many ways you show you care always make me feel I belong. You're patient when I'm foolish. You give guidance when I ask. It seems you can do most anything. You're the master of every task. You're a dependable source of comfort. You're my cushion when I fall. You help in times of trouble. You support me whenever I call. I love you more than you know. You have my total respect. If I had my choice of mothers, you'd be the one I'd select. And the reason I read those three passages is because the descriptions of mothers within them really describe how we all should be. Our mothers planted the smallest fragment of respect. They planted a lot in us when we were young, and I hope that we would all honor our mothers and do things the way they would want us to do. And honestly, I think there's a part of it that we all need to be better mothers.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Reynolds. Thank you. Thank you all for coming down this evening. At this time, we'll review the committee times. Rules, Mr. Freeman.
2 p.m.
Public Safety, Ms. Mosley.
2:15.
Budget and Finance, Mr. Freeman.
3 p.m.
Parks and Recreation, Mr. Lombardo.
1:45.
Planning and Economic Development, Ms. Connor.
1 o'clock.
Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Ms. Mosley.
Subject to call.
Public Service, Ms. Mosley.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Ms. Mobian.
2:30.
Public Utilities and Green, Mr. Freeman.
2:45.
Very good, thank you. Anything else to come before council? Mr. Neal?
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. If we could get some clarification on the Section 56 piece as far as the committee that's going to be formed. There's some questions that we asked during budget hearings that we never got answers to. I'm hoping that we don't have to wait for those to go to the committee. I'm hoping that since we had budget hearings, that not only will council get them, but the answers to those questions will be posted so that citizens that were trying to follow our budget process can get those answers as well. I think during Parker Rec with Ms. Bridget Ambrose, we heard the need for us to show some urgency in prioritizing different items. I appreciate Josh coming down and sharing. There are many concerns that we just haven't prioritized in our budget as a council. I mean, we have a housing committee, we have a health and human service committee, we have a public safety committee, but yet we don't have we haven't prioritized items under those things, even with our own budget. So Section 56 is critical, but I think since our citizens didn't have an opportunity to participate in the way they wanted to in the budget hearings, it would do us good to look at each section under public safety. How have we prioritized anything to address that issue? Under health and human services, as a council, what have we prioritized? And then lastly, the part that was stated by Reverend Beatty, the letter that was written to his granddaughter in the future. You know, we're going to be looked at as a council, as an administration, as a city. What did we do with the $250 million combined between the school system and the city to address the disparities that were outlined and highlighted by COVID? What is going to be left that showed that we address those issues so that those that come behind us don't have to address them? And right now, I'd say it's hard to say that we're going to leave any type of meaningful, sustainable infrastructure in place. So Section 56 is important. It's a very small piece of the budget. It would do us good to take a look at the overall budget. And, you know, since I've been down here, we had one administration that was about 28 years, another one that's 8 years. So that's about 36 years, and we never really had an audit of our budget. We've had the traditional governmental practice, but we know that hasn't caught things because just in this last budget hearing, we found so many things that we didn't know. And it would do us good to take a deep dive and a real look. I'd even go to say a forensic audit of our budget. Not saying that from a punitive standpoint, that's just good governance. To take a real look at our budget and how it's been expended. And I'll say this and then I'll sit down. Because the one troubling thing is, been asking about the soccer fields for over 10 years. And then we get some information today that shows that service contracts were given out. Now, service contracts are to cut the grass. The one I read stated to cut the grass. And the troubling thing is in reading that, the $7,000 that they got, and I hope they were using their equipment, not the city's equipment. In that contract, it stated that there should be no other compensation. So since they're getting and charging youth groups from our community exorbitant fees to rent those parks, can we have whatever that other contract is that gives them the right, where the city has given them the right to charge those fees? Because if you look at the documentation that was sent, you saw where in the notes from Mr. Dele Olabisi from Inner City Soccer, where he stated he was charged one fee and it switched. He was told to write the check to the organization that was overseeing the park. The city refused to take the check. And when we talk about collaboration and transparency, that's the troubling part, because we've been asking about this since 2010. The service contracts that we saw were from 2017, 18, 19. So that means why this council was asking questions about what was going on with the soccer fields. Totally ignored. Totally ignored. And so if we can get that answer, the budget, the deep dive in the budget is deeper than Section 56. We need to look at the overall budget.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Anything else to come before council? Very good. We're adjourned. Thank you.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Jeff Fusco, Vice President of Council, presiding.